What is going on, ProGuides family? My name is Renox, and today we have an awesome video for you guys. Today, we are going to be taking a look at some of the different types of players inside of Valorant. Instead of our normal question of the day, we want you guys to watch through the video and let us know in the comments down below which type of player you are. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Alright, starting off our list today is the hyper-aggressive player. This type of player will tend to always buy or buy almost every single round. The hallmark of a hyper-aggressive player is, you guessed it, the aggression. If you catch yourself dying alone pushing onto a site or getting picked off behind enemy lines on that 2000 IQ flank you went for, you might have developed a slightly too aggressive mindset. The main thing to keep in mind when you want to play aggressive is that you are looking for an opening in the enemy team's defense. If you push up and play too aggressively and then don't have anyone to trade for you, or if you end up dying, then you give the enemy team an opening for them to exploit. If you are this hyper-aggressive player, there are a few things you can do to catch yourself. The first being, always ask yourself before you go for a push or a play, if I die and kill no one, will this push be useful? If the answer to that question is no, then it's probably best to avoid pushing there. However, if you think you can still get some good information or maybe stall long enough to have your teammates come clean up the enemy team if you get caught out, then pushing might be a good idea. If you encounter a hyper-aggressive player in one of your games and they just won't stop pushing angles or getting themselves killed in the early round, an easy way to at least get some value for their life is to set up a trade. While yes, this is encouraging their bad behavior, at least this way if you follow them around ready to trade a kill onto whoever kills them, you will be getting something in return for your teammate's death instead of just being down a player every round. Next up, we are going to be taking a look at pretty much the polar opposite of the hyper-aggressive player, that being the low-confidence player. This type of player tends to be very passive or seem almost scared to peek angles or push up with the team. If you notice that you and your team are on B site on split, but one of your teammates is still at mid crouching behind a box, then you're probably dealing with this type of player. If this sounds like you, we get it. Valorant can be a very tough game sometimes, but at the end of the day, it is just a game. So there's nothing to be scared of even if you make a mistake and push and die. Being afraid to make mistakes is the best way to make sure that you never improve, as there can be no gain without some pain. Instead of sitting in one spot, try to just follow your team. You don't have to be at the front, you can even be the last person in, but try to stick with your team. This way, you'll be forced out of your element into more gunfights and other situations. By playing through these situations and losing a clutch, you will learn a little bit more about the game that you can use the next time to come out on top. The main reason that players are low confidence players is because they feel like they don't understand how the game works and therefore sometimes are too scared to even make a decision because they have no idea what the right decision is. So, if you get a low confidence player on your team, instead of flaming them in voice chat or text chat, try to stick with them and encourage them to stick with the team. A little praise in the right direction goes a long way too, so if you really want to make someone's day, start telling them nice job when they get a kill or make a good decision. We all want to be good at the things that we do, and sometimes all we need is a little morale boost to get going. If there's one type of player that we all have been at some point, it is definitely the spray and prayer. A dead giveaway for this type of player is the lack of tapping or burst firing. Short range, spray. Medium range, spray. Long range, tap it. I'm just kidding, you knew I was gonna say spray. If you are stuck in a perpetual cycle of feeling like you always need to be able to spray for every kill, don't worry, we all have been there at some point or another. The main thing to keep in mind when you are spraying an automatic weapon in Valorant is that after the first few bullets, they become unpredictable, almost random. So if you miss your first few shots, continuing to hold that spray after a while is just a roll of the dice. Sometimes you may get lucky and hit him in the head, other times you will make a very detailed outline of their head and chest on the wall behind them. Whatever the case, there will always be times where tapping or bursting will just be better than spraying. These normally come down to long-range engagements. As a rule of thumb, if your enemy is close to you, spray. If they're at a medium distance, burst. If they're at a longer distance, tap. There will be exceptions to this rule, and generally tapping is always the most accurate form of shooting, but it isn't always the fastest, which is why in close-range engagements, spraying is better. The best way to break the habit of always spraying is to start by using the shooting range. Here, only focus on using tapping or bursting, whichever one you like more. Then, as you start to get more and more comfortable with using that firing type, then start to play some real games, unrated preferably. The reason why is because you're not going to focus on your score or anything else about the game. Simply just work on trying to get yourself to instinctually tap fire or burst fire when you see someone. After doing this for a few games, you will start to develop the muscle memory. Now you can go back to spraying. It's not like you need to completely forego it, but when it makes sense to not do so, try to force yourself to tap or burst fire. If you catch yourself spraying when you shouldn't, repeat the process we just talked about to keep trying to hone in your muscle memory. Dropping into the fourth spot on our list today is the type of player that never looks at their minimap. If you find yourself constantly watching the same angles as your teammates, saying, "Sorry, I didn't know" in voice or text chat, or being caught off guard by the enemy jet flanking you, you probably need to be paying a little bit more attention to your minimap. Map awareness is one of the most important things at your disposal, and you should constantly be looking at your minimap when it is safe to do so to get the most up-to-date information. The easiest way to start training that muscle memory to look at your minimap is that every time you are behind cover or in a corner, just look at your minimap. This will get you started on the habit where if you aren't doing anything, you'll check your minimap, and as you start to get better and better, you'll start checking your minimap more and more. At the lower ranks, the only things you really need to make sure of on the minimap is where your teammates are and if there are any enemies close to them. As you get more advanced, using the minimap for tracking things like when the enemy Sova last used its recon arrow, how many Leers Reyna has left, where your teammates are watching in a post-plant situation, and loads of other useful information. If you are messing around with your minimap settings though, make sure to leave vision cones on, even if you don't make use of them just yet. Vision cones will show you where you and your teammates are watching. If you turn it off, you will only hurt yourself as you will only have less information on your minimap. If you are having trouble with being able to consistently look at your minimap, you're not alone. Visit ProGuides.com to see our list of amazing coaches who can help create a more individualized training program for you to get the most out of your practices or gameplay. See a boost in your game like never before. Visit the link in the description or ProGuides.com to learn more. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little hype, especially in our current global situation, but sometimes people can take it a little bit too far. We all love a good hype man, but when someone is breaking your eardrums or getting in the way of important calls, it can be a little frustrating. If you find yourself constantly screaming, whether for good or for bad, while playing Valorant or constantly having people being mean to you in voice chat telling you to turn your mic down, you might fit into this category. As we said, everyone loves a good hype fest, but when you're queued into a ranked match, people are going to want to hear the footsteps from enemies around them or gunshots from enemies breaking equipment. If your teammates pull off an insane clutch or a nice multi-kill, feel free to hype them up. Just do so after the round has ended when they don't need to hear or focus on the game. Another important thing to mention is that try to stay positive on the mic. While your teammates may have made a dumb play or have given the enemy a free kill, roasting them for it over voice or text isn't going to help the situation at all. Just like with our low confidence player, focus on trying to bring your teammates up and give them the morale boost to keep playing and win. You will be amazed at how many of your games could have been saved by one person staying positive and talking throughout the game. If there is one thing that we all know is frustrating, it is when you want to play your main agent but someone instalocks them, without talking or any communication taking the agent that you want to play. Instalocking in general is never really a good idea. If you catch yourself instalocking a lot, and by a lot I mean a majority of your games, then this is for you. We get it, maybe you don't have any other agents you like playing or don't feel comfortable playing other agents, but if you are here, we assume that you want to improve, and part of improving is expanding your agent pool. Having 3 agents that you feel comfortable playing is a pretty good number, but try to make sure that no more than one of them is a duelist. The other 2 agents, try to make them utility agents with smokes, flashes, or some form of good utility. If you're looking for a new utility agent to pick up, Breach and Omen are 2 very good options this patch. When people instalock, they tend to instalock duelists because they're pretty fun agents to play. They are the ones that get all the fun abilities and get to remove people from the game. However, Valorant is a team game and team composition matters. If everyone instalocked a duelist, we would have 4 duelists on a team, and I'm sure enough of you can tell me how badly your games go with 4 duelists. Even if you don't instalock duelists, it is still a bad practice as you might be crippling your team from the get-go. You might have taken away an agent that one of your teammates was really good at or picked an agent that doesn't really synergize well with the rest of the agents. Instead of instalocking, try to hover your agent and talk to your team about what they want. If you and a teammate are both hovering an agent, normally they aren't going to be too mad if you try and ask them nicely and politely if you can have that agent. They might let you, but if not, that is a-okay because you have 2 other agents that you can play, right? Well guys, unfortunately that is going to be all that we have for you today. If you liked the video, then be sure to leave a like, and if you're feeling extra spicy, maybe even consider subscribing. We upload new videos like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified is by ringing that notification bell. Remember to stay safe out there everyone, and I will see you all again very, very soon.